Podcast, the show where we talk all things nerd, most things video games, and genuinely anything that tickles our fancy. Mrs. Play,
Welcome.
how are you?
I'm good. Happy 2025.
Happy 2025. Welcome to the first podcast of 2025, but the one that totally didn't happen, that one of us forgot to turn the reverb off of the mixer and totally botched after doing like an hour and a half podcast on a show that we won't talk about now.
Yep.
That totally happened.
Oops. Lessons learned.
Lessons learned.
New mistakes in 2025.
Oh my god. But
new bullshit.
yeah, don't put that juju out in the universe. I know the current bullshit. I can mitigate for that.
Yep.
It's the bullshit I don't know.
No. Same me, same hoe.
Some days.
Okay.
God, the new Dexter looks like Tom Holland.
Why are we talking about that?
So
why are we here tonight, spouse?
we are here to talk about I was about to say Arcane. No, that was the one that is the name we shall not speak. We're here to talk about the final season of Dragon Prince, because Dragon Prince just ended on us. And much like Korra, it was a sprint to the end of the season. Which is always a bit of a bummer here. And the reason I brought up Dexter is because I pulled up the wiki for it, just in case we had any questions.
Brilliant.
I could pull it up and be like, yes.
Who is that person's name? Because I'm fucking blinking right now. I can see their face in my mind. Go forth. All right.
Yes.
So, Dragon Prince, which is available on Netflix.
Yes, it is a Netflix original show. The Dragon Prince, for those of you who don't know, is books...
what?
Like books 8 or 7 through 12 of Avatar,
Pretty
the
much,
Last Dragon Prince.
Yeah, it was the same illustrators, right? Or same production company?
It's the same company. It's the same writers.
Okay.
Down to like book 1.
Mm-hmm. So
if
you guys liked Avatar, not the blue people one.
Yeah, the one that we talk about,
the original, the one that matters.
And not even the new live action one that they chickened out on.
But then you would probably enjoy Dragon Prince.
Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, Dragon Prince is about a Team Dragon Prince, which
as
has
the name suggests,
where 3 kids, eventually a 4th older, joins them. To help get a baby dragon all the way.
Balance.
Yeah, restore balance
in the world.
Oh my god, it is Avatar.
It is, yeah. It's like, hey, it follows like one of the 2 plot lines for dragons. Like, once upon a time there were dragons, but the dragons have since gone away. It would be really great if sometime in the future, like when the time comes, trademark, the dragons will return. So that's the plot that they follow, and then the other plot line of dragons is like, god damn it, how do we get rid of these fucking dragons? So we're following the first plot line.
Oh wow, it really does do that too.
Yeah.
It was like,
that's the 2 plot lines for things with dragons. They were gone, and the time will come with dragons.
And then of course we've got a big bad who's motivated to take over the world.
Yeah.
Using a type of
that one's motivated by spite.
Yeah. He
survives off of spite.
He does. And honestly, by the end of it, I was like, I kind of understand this. But yeah, so going back to the beginning, much like I'd say Avatar, the first season, the first 2 to 3 seasons, because they're significantly shorter than Avatar. I think the average season is only like
10 episodes.
Yeah.
Each episode's like 30 minutes, 28 minutes, something like that. So like they're little snippets, or they would be made for television otherwise. There are 7 seasons in total. First season came out in like 2018-ish time frame.
Yeah, 2018, September 4th, 2018. Yeah. The first one being book 1, Moon. Started the exact same way. It was almost comical.
The writers loved Avatar, and so does the audience.
Yes. But I think much like Avatar, the first season is the kid show.
To draw you in.
Yeah.
A false sense of security.
We follow 3 people. we're in the world of Zadia, which is magic. We've got we've got humans, we've got elves, we've got different types of elves. I don't know if we had dwarves.
We did not come across dwarves. I don't think. No, I don't think they're dwarves. They're just different types of elves and like other creatures that were sentient, but definitely not dwarves. Like, I wouldn't even call them fairies, but they were like other sentient creatures capable of speech.
I was like, we had the rock golem, we had mer people, and it felt like there were just like as many human type like variations of like, oh, you're still a human, but you don't look like this human. It felt like the same thing for elves, where it was, nah, these are the moon elves, these are the earth elves, fire elves.
Yeah, the sun elves.
Which honestly,
celestial elves.
He was an elf too, wasn't he? Star touched.
Star touched
elf.
There was celestial.
Yeah, but
that's what the big bad was.
Yeah, he was just, but his like race was star touch elf.
Okay.
But for all intents and purposes, like a celestial. Oh, there were the celestial beings, but I don't know if they were also elves. But we've got 3 kids. We've got Rayla. We've got Callum,
who's human.
Rayla's our night elf. For those of you who played World of Warcraft, we've got Callum, who's human, and then we have what's the actual prince's name? Callum, Rayla, and
I have a fucking computer.
I know, and I have it up right here, and I'm like just blanking on his name. I keep grabbing the wrong. Ezrin, thank you. Who, under an attack of the elves and the humans, find a magical orb, and we learn that the magical orb is a dragon egg that gives birth to...
The egg hatches.
Yes.
It doesn't give birth.
That's true. To Asmandius, who is the
Dragon Prince.
Yes, the son of the former king of the dragons.
Who was a thunder dragon.
Yes.
Like a lightning dragon.
Thank you. I was like, a thunder dragon. It's like a storm dragon, but yeah. And we learned that his father died stopping the big bad the first time.
Yep, and he goes by Zim.
And fun fact, in the final season, we learned that it's Zuko.
Yeah, he develops the capacity for speech in the final episode of the final season. Yeah, this is what I sound like.
Yeah, and but you learn that I have it pulled up right here, and I just keep losing the younger brother's name for whatever reason. Ezrin, thank you. Ezrin can talk to him because he has the ability to talk to animals, which is just a cool thing. And of course, probably the best character for the entire show, Bait. Ba-bom.
Bait's the best.
Yeah, if you ever hear us do ba-bom, it's because at the beginning of the show when the Netflix thing would play, it is Bait the Glowtoad who does that. Yeah, but we've covered. I believe we've done an episode covering the previous seasons.
I don't think we have.
I thought we had. I can pull it up real quick, but
okay.
But this season was the final season. Netflix did announce that they are not renewing it for another season. And in truth, it kind of felt like it. The writers did the same thing they did for all 3 seasons of Korra, where it was, here's a very self-contained portion of a story, and
I mean, it built upon. Yeah, I guess it didn't. No, I'm going to disagree with you because I felt like we were all. The big bad's name is Erebos. We can name him. It's not Voldemort.
No, I guess Power Spouse.
But it was Erebos, and it felt like in all 6 seasons we were like building up to like, oh no, Erebos could come back. Who is he? What is this? Who are we trying to fight? What are the threats? Okay, this is a credible threat. What do we need to know? What do we need to do? Also simultaneously growing as people, whereas I feel like in Korra, each season truly was self-contained. Like they didn't necessarily like build upon each other. Like whereas with Dragon Prince, it needed, I would even say 8 seasons instead of just 7.
Yeah,
I felt like the last one was rushed, and they were working toward. Like, there was a longer arc that we were working towards.
You're right that the show does suffer from the you're done. Like you guys told your story.
I'm fine with that though. I don't want things to get like weirdly overpowered. I felt like this last season was a sprint to the end, and if we could have even just had like 12 episodes for the final, just like flesh a couple more things out, have a little bit more of a strategic pause and explain things as opposed to I'm going to have an attitude and shut down and
it. And I think that's what made this one feel particularly fast in my case. Was so the first, like I said, the first 2 to 3 seasons you have a kid show, and the kids behave like kids, and then somewhere around season 4,
you
so
develop consequences,
which is called Book 4 of Earth. It is the kids become who they're going to be. Like they stop being kids, they've kind of learned their life lessons, and they start being fleshed out characters that aren't just
more nuanced. Sure.
Yeah. And in telling stories like this, when it feels as compact as this final season did, we started to get like almost character regressions where we saw
that's the word.
We saw who they used to be and like the inner conflict. It's like, why are you backstepping? Why are you backstepping? And it's like, I think if you'd had like, hey, we've got 2 seasons where they're going to kind of like lose themselves and like really solidify who they are, like most of us do in life.
Yeah, sure.
It would have felt. I don't need DBZ, but I would like. Hey, the bad guy's here. Find the thing. Where's the MacGuffin? And what do we do? And that's ultimately what the final season was.
Yeah.
The first 6 seasons were, hey, this bad guy exists, man. He's talking and convincing you to do dark magic, and we're getting, people are going down darker and darker paths. And then it's like the end of season 6, Big Bad's back. And he is big. Because he is a titan.
A titan, yep.
Yeah. But all in all, I really enjoyed the show.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's a comfort watch. For sure.
I can see that for you.
Yeah.
Like,
as a strong female character. I love Rayla.
Rayla's great. So I would also say much like, I don't know if as much like Avatar, but like my favorite character, nothing to do with the main cast. Like I loved Queen Amaya.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So you learn that one of the generals, her name is Amaya, and they.
I thought you were going to say Soren.
You know what? I would have said Soren too. But you learn Queen Amaya, or Amaya, is their aunt. Thank you. I was trying to think about how that was it. Their aunt.
Yeah, their mom's sister.
Their mom's sister. She's this really awesome general who fights with a giant ass shield most of the time. She ends up using it to defeat Queen of the Sun Elves, Janai, and that's how they fall in love. And that just, I don't know. Yeah. 2 strong women going at it. And it's like,
deaf or is she mute?
I think she's both.
Okay.
Because they do tap her on the shoulder, and she uses ASL.
She does. She does use sign language.
And then her wife learns ASL with her, and it's just
real cute.
All of it's great.
Yeah, and it's not like, oh, how much like Arcane, there are people who just have like differing levels of ability, or it's like oh, she's deaf or she's mute, and it's not like this is her entire character. Like she's able to command armies, and put respect on her name. It's one of those. Like, I'm a fucking badass in my own right. I do not play around. I am in charge. I am a leader. I am in charge. You will do as I say.
So
I'm gonna fall in love with the queen and also become a queen.
Yeah.
Good for her.
That also being said, the final season gave me about as much anxiety as watching Chef for the first time.
Oh yeah, like,
where it's just
don't
like,
let them die. Don't let them die.
Don't let them die. Like, one of them's gonna die.
We hadn't had any like major characters die. So it's like one of those like, how far are we going to push that boundary of being a kid show? Is there anyone's truly safe? Spoiler: everyone's safe. Everyone that matters is safe.
You know what? Thank God. I don't think I could have gone through. I think if Amaya would have died or Queen Janai would have died, I would have probably just been like, I'm done. I don't care. I don't want to know the ending of this anymore. I'm gonna tap out.
Yeah.
Like Soren, who I would say is the next one.
I was expecting Soren to be a casualty earlier on in the season, not season 7, but like
like season 4 or 5.
Yeah, there were a couple times where I'm like, this is where he eats it.
I
enjoyed his growth because he started off as just like this bully dumbass, but then he like worked through his daddy issues and had like some real personal growth. It was like, why can't you just love me? Like, there's nothing wrong with me. Something's wrong with you. And so just being able to grow from that is like no small feat. And the man does it in like under 30 episodes that are each barely 22 minutes. I'm like, I'm in my mid-30s.
Soren, I think, has
he's doing great.
The most growth.
Oh, yeah,
of any
unquestionably.
character.
Unquestionably, yeah.
And
he grew on me because initially I'm like, you're fucking annoying.
He, as Miss Play said, yeah, he's a bully. He picks on the main character. The main character's a crush on his sister, so of course he picks on him for that. Mm-hmm. And then, I think it's by the end of the second season, his sister Claudia like starts following her dad, and their dad was like the mage of the area. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, what kind of magic did he use? Nah, dark magic, ritualistic sacrifices, torturing people, mm-hmm. capturing souls. Mm-hmm. And you're like, Jesus, dude.
This is not okay.
Yeah. And then, watching Soren's entire confrontation with his father mm-hmm. was like damn near gut-wrenching.
It was heartbreaking, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then even, I wouldn't say Viren was redeemed, the father. I don't think he was redeemed by the end, but he was a changed man, and had he not died, I think he would have been accepting of the consequences of his choices from like when he was a dark mage.
I think he would have. I don't. There was another show that you and I watched, and I can't remember. There's a character who started, and it's gonna bother me now because I remember having this conversation with someone else. Might have actually been Eli, and we talked. It wasn't Viren, but it was older character comes back mm-hmm. and goes for the redemption arc. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, like, at the very end of it, I didn't want Viren to have a redemption arc.
I agree. I'm not saying that I wanted it. I'm saying that he also grew enough for it. He went from, like, nothing I'm doing is wrong, or what I'm doing is, I'm doing bad things, but I'm doing it for a good reason, to actually seeing, like, how abhorrent his actions were, the damage that they were causing, and feeling the true remorse.
Yes.
And not doing, like, a pissant apology.
Yes.
But those genuine...
Or, like, you're going to atone for it for the rest of your days.
Yeah. Like, I didn't need him to have a redemption arc. I didn't need him to be fully redeemed, but I wanted him to understand the damage that he had caused. And I really like that he did. And had, like, chose a different path. It's one of those, like... Use of dark magic is a lot like addiction. And so the fact that he did choose a different path, I appreciated. I could respect it.
Yes. And for me, it was like, no, your death is the redemption.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
that is the best that we will say of you, is that you sacrificed yourself in the end.
Yep. Yeah, make this right.
And that's it. Like, it was good. I'm not saying he's a good man. I'm saying he sacrificed himself to do what was needed.
To do what was right. Yeah. In that
in that moment. And especially because it's the human kingdom, the kingdom for the main characters is being attacked by a dragon, and they're like, oh, use this spell that'll turn you into a sun-touched elf, because all the elves have different properties, and the sun elves are
fireproof.
They're fireproof. You can get their skin, and they like, I'm gonna go bathe in lava. Okay, well, that's a thing you can do. And being attacked by a fire dragon, bathing in lava sounds pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, God, I loved Soren's entire thing.
I know you
I
did.
think I could just gush about him for a while.
I know. So the fact that you went with the general, I was surprised.
Yeah, I think it was. I think what made Amaya so great was
she knew ASL, which you loved.
Yes, but anytime that we were on a scene with Amaya and Queen Janai, it was what is the world doing right now? How is the world healing? How is the world fighting with itself? The heroes were off on their quest, and kind of like Lord of the Rings, where it's like they get everywhere before everyone else. So it's like, they have this isolated incident where it's just like, I'm a mage, I'm an elf, and I'm a king, and we're going to talk to these people, and then we're going to leave. But we never get to see, like, what's the outside world doing? So I think with Amaya and the humans and the sun elves trying to, like, cohabitate, that's why I enjoyed their scenes so much more.
Yeah, the state of the world. That makes sense. I hadn't thought about it that way. I like that.
But so at the end of at the end of book 6, the entire like first 6 books are, there's a bad guy, stop him, and we can't let him get free, and like that's
he's in a prison. He's trying to escape his prison. There are very real concerns that he could succeed.
And it's a race between,
it's a credible threat,
the good guys and the bad guys to get to the prison to let him out. And then at the very end of book 6, which was, I wasn't expecting them to be like, and he's free.
Yep. And he walks among us again.
And then you see him, because the entire opening, you see Erebos, who is the big bad. And he's like always picking up humans like they're
like puppets,
like a chess piece. And you're like, okay, that's really cool imagery. No, guys, that wasn't imagery. We weren't trying to say
it wasn't
how
just
he's
imagery.
Manipulating them. It was,
he's a titan.
He is massive, and like he has to hide himself to turn himself into an island, like hide his form. And to that, I was like, oh wow, I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting to be like, he's giant, because even in all the flashbacks, he's not big. And it's just like, yeah, the arch dragons came together to defeat him, and that's what stopped him. And then you're like,
yeah, that's what contained him in his prison.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, okay, so he's small, and it's like, no.
Yeah, well, none of the other elves that we had seen up to that point were any larger than the average man.
Yes.
Everyone was very like human in size, except the dragons, who were massive. And so to then have a titan elf, I'm like, I didn't know they could get that big.
Yeah, I thought that one was. I thought it was really, really interesting how they did that one. I also enjoyed. I think it really is going to be the characters in this and how they interact with each other that made it very good. So we get Claudia, who is the Dark Sorcerer's daughter, who also is very good at magic herself. You can clearly see the inspiration drawn from Azula.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's our Azula. Less mad, but nope. Just someone else who's desperate for her father's approval and a prodigy. Yep. She's Azula.
She's Azula, but she's not angry.
She's not.
She's not angry. She's
not sadistic.
There, thank you. There's the better word for it. And we get to see, like, because it was her and her brother to try to get their dad back, and then we get to her and Terry, and Terrestrius, I think is what his full name was.
Yeah.
Is a
wood elf.
Is a wood elf.
Who's a Kiwi. Like, he's from New Zealand. The voice actor, or he was doing a New Zealand accent.
He was.
The moon elves have a Scottish accent, and the wood elves have like a New Zealand accent.
Do you remember the sun elves? I guess were African or French.
French.
Mm-hmm. And what were the sky elves then? Were they just American?
They sounded like white people.
They sound
French are often portrayed as white, but it's okay. No, they weren't English, but yeah, they're probably like an American.
Yeah.
American English.
Sorry, I was like looking for that now because I'm like, oh, that's actually really interesting because I remember pointing that out when we were watching it, but just went over. But we get to see Claudia.
Keep making excuses for her bad behavior and just not seeing it as bad behavior. She is a child who just wants to put her family back together. Like that is her state. She doesn't grow. And she has the least growth.
Then
aside from like Erebos, the least fucking growth.
Yeah, Erebos he's salty for like 10,000 years.
Yeah, I exist out of spite. That's Erebos.
But Claudia, much like her dad, not Soren. I'm trying to remember what her father's name is.
I know, I said it earlier, now I've blinked.
Yeah. Soren, no. Viren, thank you. I'm gonna keep that pulled up over here. Like, she watches her father do everything he can to protect the kingdom, and
yeah, and he is. That's how he positions. That's how he excuses his behavior. But even before he goes like full rogue bad guy mode, when he does use dark magic, it's always like, well, I have to protect the kingdom. I have to protect the family. I'm doing this because I love the king, kind of thing. Like that's how everything's positioned.
Yes, we can't let the dragons ever do this again. And
protection, yeah.
And we see him make excuses for his actions after he like commits abominable like war crimes.
Yeah, he locks souls.
he steals souls, and then you also learn like, oh, if I want to keep the dragons in line, he kidnaps a dragon egg.
Yeah, he steals the egg.
And it's just like, oh, you went after kids. Like, that's what you were willing to do in order to win. And we see Claudia never has to deal with like larger scale battles or larger scale excuses. Like, his excuses within like a reasonable history, because some of these people were alive when the war happened and everything split, because you learn that like the magic world of the elves and the fae, they're like, this line here, don't cross it. You humans stay over here. Yeah. We'll stay over here.
Yeah, there was a big battle. You stay on your side. I stay on my side.
And he constantly like harkens back to that. Claudia doesn't have that. So for her, it's just, you're right. It's, I want to get my family back. But then when you're watching it, you're like, you are literally ripping the wings off of a butterfly at some point to get this.
I do bad things, but I always have a good reason for it.
Yes.
That's what she says to Terry. You always understood that about me. She has serious abandonment issues.
She does.
It's like their mom left when she was very little, like a toddler or something. She was young.
Yeah.
Like 5, 6 at the absolute oldest. Like she was little.
Yeah, I thought she was younger than that because I thought Soren was just...
I said at the absolute oldest.
Okay. Yeah, because he was teeter-tottering around.
Mm-hmm. So like mom leaves, never comes back, and then it's just like her dad, and Soren, and then she, whether consciously or not, she knows that she knows that Soren's not the favorite.
Yes.
And even when Viren goes so far as to like trying to kill his son, I don't know. Like she doesn't. I don't know if she ever learns about that. I don't remember, but like she doesn't ever have to really like face the consequences. She never really has a moral dilemma. It's always like, I just want to get my family back, and like her dad becomes corrupt, openly corrupt. There's no excusing it. Corrupt. Dies, and then she's like, gotta bring him back, as opposed to like, let me just mourn that this happened. She just has like a jinx break with the reality of, I'm going to find a way to fix this. I have to fix this. I have to bring my dad back. Can't survive in a world without him. I can't be an orphan. I'm like, yes, you can. Plenty of people are orphans all the time.
The main character, quite literally.
Your dad made orphans.
Yeah.
So maybe fucking learn to live with it. Like, no growth. She was very powerful and so easy to manipulate. Just a child.
Yeah, like one of her last lines of the entire story was literally like, and this to me is where the final season being a sprint, because she finds the shell, helps get it out, then decides to like lead the Mad Titan. Like he's like, we need to create what's known as a primal stone, which is
like an innate source of magic.
Yeah,
like it's like your mana gemstone. The mana is stored here for you to access.
Yes. And they're all very
type based.
Yes, because in the beginning one there was a storm stone, which like somebody literally went out and said, all right, this hurricane, I'm gonna put it in this rock.
Yeah.
I was almost thinking like the evolution stones from Pokemon.
A bit, yeah.
Because it's like that one type. And they go to create that create those rocks. And then it's just literally like, oh, how do we, or to do that, like they go to a unicorn graveyard, and they take a map that is to this graveyard for unicorns. That's like the Garden of Innocence. And you literally, as you get older and you get more,
you lose your innocence.
Yeah, you get more cynical.
You learn, cynical. You learn to lie. You just become more wary of the world instead of that childlike innocence. Because you don't know any better, you lose that ability to see the map. And so Terry, who is like pure of heart, leads Claudia and Erebos. They pretend to be able to read the map. Like, you hold on to it, buddy. You seem to really like it. You can read the map. You can guide us. And just like abuse him like that. And get there. Oh yeah, it's for innocence, but you didn't tell. Hey Terry, go find me these feathers. No reason. But we didn't tell him that. Yeah, it's a place of innocence, and it's where unicorns come to rest. Not technically a lie, but it's their final resting place. And then like digging up, or like raising a whole unicorn skeleton, and then like grinding that shit into paste. It's just, I don't know. I don't feel like we should do that. There's a lot wrong. Fuck Claudia.
Yeah. Because the final season, it constantly, the show constantly brings you to this point of, oh, Soren and Claudia, like, there are a lot of like loose ends that you just don't get a reckoning for. So Claudia becomes like a dark mage.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, it sets up, it's either going to be Callum that fights him because he can use primal magic or like normal magic.
Yeah, he's one of the only humans who has like the innate ability to access magic other than dark magic. So that's all that humans really have access to is dark magic. And he can access primordial magic.
Or it's
primal
gonna be
magic.
Soren, because it's the brother who,
you need the antithesis.
Yeah, who was very
foil.
much like learned early on, like, hey, this isn't like dark magic. Something's not right with this.
And he was all. It wasn't even like something's not right with this. Like, it's just not where he had. That's not where he excelled. He was more of just like brawn, not brain. Sorry, Soren. He's not that smart.
Yes. So when
Soren is Sokka.
Yeah, he is Sokka. But not even just like the like brawn over brain, just like watching the lengths that his father was going to.
Yeah, like once he became aware of what his father was doing, and like his dad really tried, like literally was like ready to kill him, like Old Testament style.
Yeah.
And when he's like, "Why would you do that? You were ready to kill me. Like you lied, and you were ready to do this. Like you hurt people." And that goes against his moral code of being a knight and being loyal to the king and protecting people. Like you are actively harming others, and that's what like dropped the metaphorical blindfold for him to like see his father as he truly is, which is a man who will always justify the means,
and
it should be condemned.
Yes,
that's not okay.
Then we kind of get to like he does become the one who like laughs the loudest, and it's like, oh, you are hurting.
You're hurting.
And I think that's part of what grows on him. But the end is Claudia, as we said, has horrible abandonment issues because even her father towards the end is like, yo, man, I did some fucked up shit. We need to walk away.
Yeah. Don't do what I did. Don't walk my path.
And you get to see with dark magic, it changes you.
Mm-hmm.
And they do this by like their skin starts to look a little more pallid, and their hair goes bleach white. Mm-hmm. And Claudia starts off; she always has like a gray streak, and
like Rogue from the '90s X-Men.
Yeah, and then it gets more white, and then the rest of her hair goes white, and now she just has like a black lock of hair on the opposite side. But like Terry leaves her because it's like, you lied to me, found out that he was telling her half truths and wouldn't let him make his mind, kept manipulating him.
She kept telling him
half truths, and manipulating him, so he leaves. And then the final battle is like Soren and Terry are on a bridge with her, and her final words is, "I'm still me, I'm still nice."
Yeah.
And like pouts and then like runs away.
Yeah, she's just a kid. She has no growth. If anything, I'd say she's regressed. She's had no growth.
And I mean, Erebos actually flat out says that. It's like, I'm the father that she lost, and she's the daughter that I didn't get to keep. And it was just one of those things like, oh, you both are like projecting the toxicity of what you lost on each other.
Codependent as fuck. Yeah. Yeah. No, I wish we could have just gotten like 2 more episodes just to like flesh things out a little bit, because we never get to see. The season ends with Soren and the tracker guy going to go find the bird, who spoiler is Ezran's father, got turned into a bird by Viren. Everyone spends like the entire, like 90% of the entire storyline thinking that the king, Ezran's father, and Callum's father is dead, but no. Viren acted from a place of anger and put the king's soul into his favorite pet parrot. And so when a bunch of assassins came, they killed the king's body that had a bird's soul in it. And you and I had suspected that, because like there'd be certain moments where like the frame would like pan over to the bird, and the bird would look sad, or like why are you even looking at the bird at all? The bird is a bird, but is the bird a bird? Yes, but also no. The bird has a king's soul and consciousness inside of it.
They did a really good job at tying that up, because the final season, like I said, the final season kind of has the Rise of Skywalker issue, or the Legend of Korra issues, where it's like, we need to wrap this up, and much like Game of Thrones, we don't know how we're going to be able to end this, because you've got 8 million moving parts. And so we get to see Ezra, who mostly up to this point had been like
magnanimous,
a great, like he was young and he was making mistakes, but he was
a good
king.
leader. Good leader. He was a good character. Like, yeah.
And then
gentle, understanding. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but like he was, to see someone so young have such wisdom without the fucking trauma. Like, some kids could actually just be raised to like feel their feelings and to like hold space for emotions and have empathy and be able to take other people's perspectives. And then all of a sudden he has some serious regression. I'm like, that's not who you are. Why are we going this route?
It felt so at the end of the previous season, a dragon attacks, and season 6 ends with like the bad guys awake, and a dragon attacks the humans again, and raises his kingdom to dust.
Yeah, rubble.
And it like the people get out. The people for the most part get saved.
Sure, we don't see like corpses lining the streets,
but
still a kid show.
Yeah. As King Ezra, who had been with the main protagonist group for the first 5 seasons, he goes back and he gets to see all these experiences where he goes to like, oh, this is where Rayla, the Moonshadow Elves who wanted to assassinate my father, came from. This is here's where the Sea Elves live, and here are the dragons. I have met dragons, and then met one dragon who was a little salty because didn't get the girl, and didn't get the girl, and then was like blinded.
He was like Scar.
Yeah. And the dragon gets offered the chance to see again by a corrupt sun elf who's like, I want to be king and bring back the old ways.
Yeah.
Make it Rome. And like attacks them. And then very next season, he's like, you know what we need? We need nukes.
Yeah.
We need the arms race now, so that way humans never have to feel this. And you're like,
yeah, the only way to keep this from happening again is to build bigger weapons.
And the whole thing is like, you spent 5 seasons with them seeing that clearly doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, and the thing was like, I was like, this doesn't work. And I'm watching it, I'm like, you know what? He should be this way for a season. It's his home, it's the people he's entrusted to protect. I could see him being like, oh no, the crown just got heavier.
But then why, I don't know, why wasn't he like that? Did he think that, who did he think killed his dad? Like, why weren't you like that sooner?
Oh. I think because the elves were, how they meet Rayla is they're sent to assassinate his father's the king of the humans.
Yeah.
And I think he thought they were dead, or their lives were in those coins, and he never saw who they were.
Okay.
And that was the loss. Like, it was like an isolated thing. He met them because after the dragon attacks, and he's like, okay, nukes it is, because we've got an elf that no one can kill, and dragons fucking with us again.
Yeah.
The Raylo like frees the soul of one of the elves.
Yeah, one of her fellow partner assassins.
And is like, okay, I'm going to take you home. And then goes back to meet Ezra. It's like, hey, Ezra, by the way, this is my like adoptive dad.
Yeah.
I'm taking him home to be with his spouse. And Ezra's like, you.
Yeah, you killed my parents.
And you can see the hurt. And I think if he would have been that way for like, we need like 2 to 3 more seasons. A season of that, and of him going like, I'm just repeating everything. I'm going to cause.
I'd be willing to tolerate it for like a max of 4 episodes, only because like we're on season 7 and now you're acting this way. I don't know. It was too regressive. I don't know. I don't know. Since each season is only like 10 episodes.
Yeah.
10 episodes we're on the very last season, and then you decide to make like a hard right turn, like 90 degrees to the right, hard right turn, and just become absolutely intolerant of other views after like 6 prior seasons of preaching tolerance and mercy and understanding, and all of a sudden it's just like, nope, actually fuck everything I just said. We need bigger bombs. I'm like, sir, I'm not saying it's out in all the spectrums of possibility that it doesn't exist. There's greater than a 0 chance of this ever happening, but like, why is that the path you chose? It feels childish, and yeah, he is in fact a child, sure, and he should be allowed to grieve and feel his feelings. I really hate how he went about it. I'm glad that Callum held him accountable. I think they could have had like another conversation like that drew him out. I love how Callum handled it.
I like how Callum handled it. And you're right. We are on season 6, but to like
we're on
put
season 7 when this happens.
Sorry, season 7 when this happens. But to also put this in perspective,
go ahead.
Avatar, the first book, is 20 episodes.
I know.
So my reason for wanting like
I've been watching this since 2018.
Okay.
It's 2025 now.
So my reason for saying it needed like another 2 to 3 seasons.
No, 7 years have passed. Get on my fucking page.
My reason for saying that is like
I was in my late 20s when this came out.
8 episodes would have been half a season of, and so that's my only reason.
I'd be like, yeah, a quarter.
Because I would have thought that like Callum would have had to like use some serious magic to stop the fire crystals, to be like, because it like to stop the nukes and be like, dude, like here's the land beside you that you've scorched, and now like
yeah, look at what it's actually costing you. Look at all the hurt that you're causing.
Yeah, I think
remember who you are,
Simba.
Yeah, it's one of those.
And yeah, that's my.
You go like Moana. It's not who you are. I can't sing. Sorry, guys.
I don't remember that from Moana.
It's the first one when she's talking to Te-Fiti.
Oh,
the island goddess, because they stole her heart.
Yes, I like the beginning
so
when she said
when it was like angry lava monster, and she's just like, no, head touch, 4 head touches, heals everything.
Star Wars looking at you.
Yep, and then Te-Fiti's like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm not always a hateful lava monster.
By the way, Maui, here's your hook back.
Pretty much. It's like, also, I am this like beautiful, lush Pacific Island goddess. The end.
Yes.
Go watch Moana. Shout out to Moana.
But yeah, it's he has this regression. He's like, I need nukes, and then I need to find Excalibur, and then it's like
that was way too fucking easy.
And it
was absolutely fucking useless. It did nothing. I thought I had money when Erebos was like, the only thing that can kill me is like the bite of a dragon.
Or this sword.
And since the sword was made from a dragon fang, okay, cool, like the sword will play a crucial thing. But I had money on Zim, our little dragon prince, just going up and like biting Erebos on like the fucking ankle or some bullshit. And that being like the thing that fucking does Erebos in. I would have thought it was like pitiful and also poetic. I was imagining it like Achilles being like, oh, like your vulnerable spot was your heel, and this one arrow in your heel is what took down the mighty Achilles. Like this one little fucking literal ankle biter in my mind. It was just like, and like you die from a fucking paper cut equivalent. Or like maybe it's the equivalent of like getting bit by a green mamba. Like you're dead in 60 seconds kind of situation. Like that's where I thought we were going to go with this. Like the bite was so fucking toxic to him.
And
it didn't even matter.
The entire point of this was like they have the Dragon Prince, and we get to see 4 other archdragons. We get to see his mom, who's not as big as his dad, but like
she ain't no slouch.
Massive. Then we get to see the water De Profundis. Profundus, not De Profundus. That's Oscar Wilde. And then we get to see Rex, who's like the Earth one, and it's like, oh my! And we get to see the Fire one, who's like a
cranky.
Yeah, just a cranky old guy. And you get to see this, and like you get to see Zim, and Zim gets the size of like, a Saint Bernard
It
or
was
a
like a
Newfoundland.
Mastiff.
Yeah, he's not small, but then it's like
He just kind of gets
he gets to that size, and like at no point does it feel like he has any growth.
Yeah, he basically becomes like a dog,
and
he just
like
makes sounds.
And you're right. Like it was like, oh, he's gonna bite Erebos, and that's gonna be it. And I was thinking the same thing as you. Like maybe his saliva is like extra toxic,
Komodo
or
dragon style.
Something cool. And it's like, but then the sword's made out of a dragon tooth, and it's like, okay, maybe it's like
basilisk fang.
Yeah, it's the only thing that can like scrape. I don't know.
Sure.
And like the only thing that Zim at the end of it, because we're like expecting him to have this fight, is just like,
get on my back.
If someone just yelled Heimdall, I would have been like, oh, okay, we got Idris Elba's here. We could just call Idris Elba and gotten a better. It was a sprint. Like he uses his magical electrical abilities that he's shown that he can like cough lightning occasionally,
like little sparkles.
Yeah, and that he's like, I'm gonna turn into a lightning bolt to carry the kid to the final battle. Who finds the sword in his ancestor's grave?
Statue.
Like the statue holding the sword. No. I said it. The statue's just holding the sword, and it's like,
spoiler.
No one thought to look there because why would you?
They're only human after all.
Yeah, it just sprints to the end, and you're like, oh, it'd been great if you'd like walked up and it'd been like if a chihuahua bit his ankle.
That's all I wanted. Seriously.
And I felt like this isn't to like rag on it. This is the tragedy of
sprint to the end.
You guys you're not getting more. This is all you get.
Yeah.
Is they start feeding you tidbits at the end of season 6, going like, when a star-touched elf dies, like the world is consumed by fire, and it's like only this, and then one guy gives prophecies that are like either horrifically accurate or so vague that you're like
off basis. Like that you told me nothing. And it's not one of those like, in saying nothing, he actually said everything. And I'm like, nope. This was just a whole lot of nothing.
The final, the end all goal for Erebos is he wants to make the world get ruled by the dead.
He wants to blot out the sun so that tormented spirits from the liminal space that is essentially purgatory to come back and upset the like celestial balance, because the other celestial beings in the sky, the other star-touched, I don't even know if they were other star-touched out. They were just other celestial beings, did not, they punished Erebos' daughter for bringing magic to humans.
Yes.
Because humans were never supposed to have magic. And she, as a little girl,
taught them magic.
Yeah, and it wasn't from a place of malice. It was just like hey, I have something that'll help you. It was like the equivalent of like Prometheus bringing fire. Zeus got mad.
Yeah.
And so she was punished, and her punishment was oblivion. She was destroyed. And so Erebos was like, oh, if you were upset about her bringing this little bit of magic to these humans, I'm going to flip over this fucking table. Fuck your balance. And that was this whole thing, was just like, I'm going to spit in your face. I'm going, like, if you can't handle this, just wait until you see what I do.
Yeah. And the final, there's one elf, it's the sky elves or the lunar elves. They aren't able to like look, they don't get to see. They always have their eyes blinded,
bound. Yeah, they were wearing blindfolds,
and they can only like take it off once a year to full moon. That's been stopped from a raging storm, where they have to like go quell a giant beast to sorry guys, to stop the storm, and they look up in the sky, and the one gets blessed with the vision. And his final vision is like the big bad will be defeated by all black eyes. Something with all black eyes will cast the final thing to stop, the big bad. And the only time we've ever seen all black eyes is when someone uses dark magic. And then Callum's been wrestling with it, so it's like, oh my god, won't he use black magic or dark magic again? And then it's like, oh, brings back the original King of the Dragons as a zombie with the same black eyes. But it's like, when he told this to everybody else, it was such a sprint to the end where like his sister's like, I have to tell you everything he told me, black eyes. And they're like, well, okay, that kind of tells you what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, to Callum, it affirmed that he would need to use dark magic in order to save everyone. And
then it's like, nah, it's the Dragon King is going to be like, not for my kid, and is going to bite the star-touched elf, which, to be fair, like, okay, that
is a mightier bite.
Yeah, that's the bite it needed to be.
Yeah, but then like just going back, like then Zim has had like no development since he became the size of like a mastiff.
Yeah, and literally it's everyone kind of gets back together. Callum and Ezra, who had a fight about how Ezra was acting, they're like, we're brothers. And
they reconciled.
Okay.
It was a good reconciliation. It was a pretty good reconciliation.
And then, they're like, we're brothers. Then you hear, we're brothers. I'm like, what? Yeah, I can talk. This is what I sound like. And it's Zuko's voice.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and he's like, yeah, I can always talk. And it's just like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then, we get like a 3-week time skip. Actually, it had to be several months because there was a castle built where, they're like, hey, King Ezra, maybe we should rebuild. And he goes, no.
Everyone's like, come the fuck on.
And he's
dude.
like, we need to build something better.
Yeah.
And they built the capital city for a lot, like on the area where the battle happened that separated everything. They're like, you know what? This was no man's land where we kind of nuked everything. Let's build a castle here and bring everyone together.
Here where everyone will be welcome.
And it's like democracy. And then it's like, oh, by the way, Star-Touched Elf, if you killed him, he only has to wait 7 years. And then
7 years and 19 days. It was very strange. It was like 2 months and 19 days. I guess that's when a comet comes back through. I don't know.
I think it's like when his celestial stars align. And
okay, that's what it was.
Like the stars align again, and then he's just reborn.
He's able to come back, yeah.
And it's, to be completely honest, whether it's 7 years or 7,000 years, I can wait. Oh, like he gives
the line went hard.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, this is the most like you are a villain and you're just gonna come back and do this. But all in all, like it was a fun journey.
It was a beautiful journey. There was so many like times when compassion was chosen, understanding was chosen, mercy, and it wasn't in one of those juvenile, like trite manners. It was like, this is what this is how like the higher good of humanity can act. And so from like a kid show perspective, I love that was being modeled. I grew up on Power Rangers. So I was just like, oh, this is so fucking healthy. And so I really appreciated that. And there was, like, everyone except Claudia had growth. I appreciated the magic, like the literal magic that was there. I appreciated getting to see, like, the different cultures within the different elven subtypes.
Yeah.
The humans were okay. The humans were humans. But it was... For a kid's show, there were still like plenty of just like really good, like bluey level of like life lessons.
No character was defined by their characteristic.
Yeah.
Which was also like Amaya, like marries another queen, and it's never like that they're gay. Like it's literally by the one brother. It's like you can't marry a human.
Mm-hmm.
I like that's the problem that he has.
Yeah,
it's like
not
okay,
that, it's not that you're in love with a woman. It's not the fact that this person has like they can't speak.
Yeah,
and they use sign language and what the fuck. It's like no, this is speciesist, which is just a different take on racism. So, but like we're just like it wasn't their entire personality. Like it's just like one thing, one facet that makes up like one of the many pillars that makes up your identity. Love.
When characters get their comeuppance,
mm-hmm.
I think all of them were great. I'm thinking both Viren's and the brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to give away a lot of the show. It's a lot of spoilers already.
Yes, we spoiled the ending.
We spoiled the ending. But when everyone gets a comeuppance, it feels deserved, and it's satisfying. I don't think I've ever seen one. I saw one where I was like, that was weak. Like it might not have been what I wanted, but it's also like I don't want anything more than what it was.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Rayla and Callum's relationship. To go from like we're enemies and I don't trust you to like I mean it's the enemies to lovers, but it was like a real trust and fondness for each other. And even when like one's going through a hard time, it's like, hey, I just need to go figure this out on my own. The other one doesn't do like the emotional young adult romance thing of like, I gotta chase after him. Like, no, give him space, he'll come back. He knows what he needs to do. And like that's again so fucking healthy and beautiful as opposed to the crap that I grew up with. So I love these healthy depictions of relationships.
But hopefully, so full endorsement. If you want something to watch, it's a very quick watch to get through all the Dragon Prince. 7 times 8 is what, 56?
Yep. That's how math works.
Yeah, so 56. You're talking like
times
maybe
20 divided by 60. How many hours is that? 56 times, let's say 22 minutes divided by 60. 20.53 hours.
Yeah, not even a work week. So if you've got a long, boring job,
yeah,
you could watch that.
We have snow coming on the East Coast, guys.
Yeah,
don't disappoint me.
Give it a watch. Let us know what you think.
If you've seen it before, who's your favorite character?
Why was it Soren?
Why wasn't it Soren?
Who was your favorite character? Why was it Soren?
Yeah. I liked Rayla.
Rayla was great. But yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. If you guys enjoyed this, our ramblings and musings on this fantastic show, don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Blue Sky now, Facebook, and Instagram. Podcast is out on all your podcast platforms of choice. Your next podcast will probably be the February podcast, where I believe Tyler and I are going to talk about Skeleton Crew.
Star Wars, making a comeback.
Yeah, so we're very, very excited for that. If I don't get anyone available to do a Monster Hunter cast with me, because I just want to sit down and talk to someone about Monster Hunter.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Remember, you're all winners out there. Keep it weird and have a fantastic rest of your night, everybody.